Shit, you know, we've been tapped in for a minute.
You followed me on Instagram a long time ago.
Bro,
I was like, dude, well, how'd you find me?
you're everywhere, bro.
Nah.
You're fucking. I'm a big fan of No Jumper. You
Oh,
know, I'm a big fan of all that. I'm big on podcasts, and I'm just on Instagram, bro. I'm always just looking, you know. And I seen your skating, and I was like, wait, that's the homie. He skates, and he's got the fucking business side shit. He's crushing shit.
Oh, thank you, dude.
You know,
I appreciate it.
It's cool to be able to do both things. That's like my goal is like to learn the business back end thing. Like maybe I'll do a podcast or something, you know. And I'm starting to learn that world, so it's cool to have both.
I'm still trying to kind of learn that shit too. It's like at this point I just know how to create content, but like there's a whole other business side of things where, you know, even other people are way better at getting sponsors and all this other shit that I have no idea, you know, how to even approach that type of shit. You know what I mean? So I don't know. The
beautiful thing this day and age is like it's not the traditional way anymore. Like you don't have to put a sponsor me tape out or whatever. Like
no, that's
you
true.
Had to make a whole thing and present it to a brand. You are the brand, bro. Now you're the brand. You grow with, you know, you grow your shit out, and they're gonna attach to you. They're gonna want to come to you and be a part of what you have. So now you have the leverage, and you can do the partnerships versus like trying to chase the brands.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
So now things have changed, just kind of switched around. Like we now have our own platforms, and they're endorsing us.
Yeah. You think that's inspiration behind like you and your brand, and also a lot of you know, professional skateboarders just starting their own brand? Because at a certain point you just realize like a lot of people fuck with me, you know what I mean? They're buying my boards, and it's just like, yeah, I really fuck with this brand, but like also I feel like, you know, these people are trying to support me in particular, and it's just like I could make my own separate thing in which they can communicate with me directly. You know what I mean?
Exactly, bro. It's direct to consumer these days. And like I said, like you're a brand, so like people instead of well, I mean, you can do it either way. You can play the game, you can get sponsored and go through the politics and all the things and build your way up. You can do it that way for sure.
Yeah.
But then I do believe eventually you can get big enough to where you have your own fan base, and then you can like make merch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
But then there's also or an apparel brand or whatever brand you want, and branch out, because now you have built your name with the companies. Or you can be essentially like you, do your own thing, people catch on, and then now you have your own. You built your own structure out.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, technically.
Like, you're basically an independent artist. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I'm coining the term. I keep coining the term independent pro skater, because I feel like that's what's coming to. Like, you may not have all the sponsors, but like if you have the marketability,
exactly, that's true.
The engagement, and they fuck with you, then you're good, bro.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that, because yeah, you're right. It's like back in the day you would have to kind of rely on all these brands and stuff, but nowadays it's like you can really just build up, you know, like fucking Braille skateboards, for example. It's like they didn't go through all the classical routes. It's like they just built up their own thing and made their own lane in skateboarding, and people, you know, have their opinions on it or whatever it is, but it's just like,
but they're booming.
Yeah, they're doing their own thing. It's like in skateboarding regardless of what people think.
Exactly. So it's funny because like you'll have like your top brands, right? The credible top brands in skateboarding that are like core brands, like the big brands, right? But then you'll have something like way off on the other end of the spectrum, like you said, Brel or something, you know, those guys over there, and it may not be looked at as perceived as like cool or whatever in the industry standards, but they still have a crazy lane. And now it's becoming to the point where they have even a bigger lane, where the skate industry is going over to YouTubers and things like that, and realizing like, oh, we all coincide and we can all like thrive together, so we don't need to judge or anything. You know?
I feel like, yeah, back in the day, you know, most kids, they would hear about something like Braille and then just say the same thing, be like, oh, what about all these OG brands? You know what I mean? But nowadays kids are really getting into skateboarding because of Braille, and then they'll find out about the OG brands later, thinking like they're an offshoot, you know what I mean? Or they're not, or they're like their own thing. It's like they don't really understand the whole history sometimes, I guess. But no, that's a really good point. It's like, yeah, it's like you can completely do your own thing.